Hello, welcome back to The Buzz with
Nick
and Jana. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, again, if this is your second time watching us, our second show, Nick.
I know, welcome back. Good to see you.
I'm glad you came back.
I know, after the feedback from you, I was a little concerned, but
it was from third parties, but
okay.
I just relate it in a very nice way.
I'm excited to be back for our second episode. I think we got some kinks that we worked out on the first one, and hopefully you liked our episode to watch the second one to welcome us back into your homes. Again, if you have any feedback, please email us.
Yep. thebuzzmethuen@gmail.com. Yep, if you want to hear anything on the show, just send us a quick note. We're happy to talk about it. If you have any critiques for Nick, you can send that to the Gmail as well. So again, just a little recap. The whole point of the show, we're going to be talking about local events, not so local events, hopefully get the buzz of what's going on to the residents of Methuen and beyond. So Nick, do you want to start us off with a very hot topic that seems to be buzzing around in Methuen, which is the budget?
Yeah, another B word that I can't stand today is the budget. Yes, the budget right now in Methuen is looking at a school deficit of roughly between $4 and $8 million.
And it's tough. And I want to start by saying that budget season, and I'm sure you've been doing this longer than I have, right? I was on the school committee.
I'm not older.
Well, you look it. I said that, but that's okay. The budget is always tough, right? Yeah. It always is. And this isn't the first time that we've had a similar set of events. It's unfortunate, and I always welcome a peaceful budgeting process. It just isn't always so easy to navigate, especially with, you know, changing of administration, changing of things, and then we factor in COVID, we factor in cost increases all around the board. So you're working with a tight budget anyway, and then you factor in all these unexpected expenses. You know, we had grant money before that came in post-COVID.
Yeah.
Maybe now we're feeling the tinge of having to support, you know, all over the city, extra positions that maybe were put in with that money, and now we have to sustain it. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it. But I have to say,
I feel, not to cut you off, but I think every year we have a budget crisis, and it's not just Methuen, it's national. Yeah. Like a lot of the things, and I don't want to blame the federal government, I don't want to blame state or local. We are in a different time today for education. When you have an administration that wants to get rid of public school systems, period. Charter school systems are draining some local numbers. A lot of students are going to private school, trade schools, all great opportunities. But public schools are still very much underfunded across the Commonwealth. Yeah. And you know, we just saw Andover approve a Prop 2.5. They gave 3%. And you know, that's a town. We're a city. We're the 20.
North Andover's in a similar position, I think.
And if people don't know this, Methuen is the 26th largest city and town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
We're not a town, and I think we still have a lot of that view. I do it. Yeah. I still refer to us as a town, and we say, right, the city known as the town of Methuen, but our problems are city problems.
And the city problems, and I think what happens is we're kind of stuck. You know, our motto is like history meets progress. We're stuck in the past. That's what I think the motto should be at the moment.
We need to meet the progress.
Yeah, I mean, we are doing things that I feel are almost a decade old, like new systems, new technology, all of this updating that we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. We've just been stuck in this repetitive cycle, this carousel of just problems. And if it's not COVID, it was the school budget. If it wasn't the school budget, it's the police budget. And owning a city and being a city, you need to have offsets, and that's revenue.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
We're a city that has no metropolitan feel to it, no real downtown, no transportation hub, no education hub. I mean, Haverhill has colleges.
Yeah, and we're bursting at the seams.
Lawrence has colleges, Lowell has colleges. All the cities around us have a revenue stream that's more than just the loop.
And we need to work on that too. You know, we talked last episode about the Searles building.
Yeah.
When that came before us, I truly thought that that was potential for revenue generating.
Yep.
Now it still remains to be seen if it will be or not, or what's going to happen. But we need to start thinking outside of the box and really, you're right, generate some a real revenue stream to get us to where we can actually meet the progress that we so desperately need.
And I think a big part of some of the revenue streams is the lack of commercial real estate that we have. Mm-hmm. We have this whole city's been backed, you know, by the residents. It was built on residents, and we've just, you know.
But it was built as a town, like we said.
But we haven't grown as a city, and I
No.
think a big part of it too. Now that we have a $200 million budget, and which, by the way, 51% of it belongs to the schools. Mm-hmm. You see an inflation piece here now too, because transportation's up.
Always,
I think $500,000
yep.
in just year over year. Our special ed needs, you know, are higher without placements. And you know what's the saddest part about it is when we went through COVID, we lost a lot of students. And when we started to gain students back, we found ourselves, I think, with students that had IEPs, additional mental health issues, concerns, and
were
that's
you on the
ballooned.
school committee with me at that point, or no? Were you
No,
already
not
on the
at COVID.
council?
I was on the council.
Okay, no. I was
So
just curious.
and now what we're looking at, which by the way, there is a number out there of over 100 positions being cut on the schools. You know, that's not true.
And in fact, we haven't got an absolute number
We haven't.
yet. But the confusion came, and I think you referenced it actually at our last meeting, because, you know, when you propose a budget originally,
Yep.
as any department head, not to single out the schools directly, but you might propose new positions. And if you're proposing new positions, you were never guaranteed those positions. So I, as a department head, could in theory propose 200 new positions. And then, you know, the mayor comes back at me and says, no, this won't work. And the number he gives me forces me to cut one position. So now I go out and I say, well, I cut 201 positions from my budget.
And I think a lot of people are thinking, these are 201 souls.
People, yep.
Souls,
Yep.
people. And that's not true. So the number of 50 positions or 100 positions being cut.
And that's why at the meeting we saw so many different numbers.
40 plus positions, between 40 and 50 positions were not funded, were not posted online to be filled, and nor had a person in that role. And then you had another dozen to almost 2 dozen roles that were vacant, that were held by contractors. So we spent a ton of money just on contracting these professionals for a year. Why the school committee didn't look at fixed term contracts where it's a durational contract.
And we
at a
did that when I
salary.
was on the school committee, yeah.
Why that wasn't considered, because that also balloons the number. And then you also have resignations, retirements.
Right.
Those are also part of those positions that are necessary but are being cut. So I think right now the number...
But they might not be refilled.
Correct.
Which is different,
Correct.
yes.
And so I think with the mayor's number, there's about 30 positions that will be cut. And then with the school committee number, there's about 19 positions being cut. But let's remember, the school committee passed a budget that is not being presented to the council. And in the charter, it does state that. The mayor and the solicitor are saying there's some sort of state law from 1981
There was a case, yeah, I think there was a
that
case
allows
ruling.
for this. But here's the thing is, why have a charter? Why have a city charter? Like
But they also have to inform us, and
Yes.
you know, in some ways, I feel like saying, why have a city council? You know, we have gotten blamed from this from the beginning, and when in reality, I didn't get numbers, real numbers, an actual budget book that I could look at until the Friday before the Tuesday meeting.
Correct.
And that's a tough place to be. So, you know, you're trying to field questions, you're trying to get a handle on the budget of as a whole, and you can't do that.
Just so everyone knows, the budget process really kicks off in March, and it goes through the first week of May. And we were supposed to receive the budget technically I believe it was the 26th that we were supposed to receive it. We did not receive it.
We did get a digital.
We got a digital copy.
Copy.
And then the books were delivered on the 29th to us. So everything was pushed back from budget hearings. So the budget hearing this month, in case if you're watching this over the next month or so, Monday, June 9th at 6:30 and Tuesday, June 10th at 6:30 are the budget workshops for the City Council.
Where the discussions will actually be. This is where the bulk of the work is going to be.
Correct. And then Wednesday, June 11th, at 6:30 is a continuation if we need additional time for the budget. Then Monday, June 16th is a public hearing for water and sewer. And then at 6:15 is a public hearing for the municipal budget. That is when, on the 16th, we start the first read
to approve
to
the
start
line
approving
items.
or cutting the line items of the city budget. The City Council is a yay or nay vote only for the school budget. Now let me define this quickly. Is the school committee approves a budget and they submit it. That was not done, just so everyone knows.
And this is important too, because we heard a lot of comments that it's some sort of, and coming from some members of the school committee, saying that this is
them out, but
but saying that this is a political game on our side, and that's not fair because we don't have control. This is procedural, correct?
Correct.
So I just want to make it clear that we're trying to stay within procedure, and up until we have that first workshop, the City Council really hasn't had anything to do with the budget process. So I just want to.
And by law, we need 10 business days to review the budget and have our hearings. So we got our budget books physically on the 29th. So just for all those folks that are listening or watching, and at some point I would love to have the union on our
or someone from that,
to kind of have these conversations with us on the show. That would be huge. But the last budget read is on Monday, June 23rd. And Tuesday 24th if it's needed for the second read. So I have some cuts that I already am proposing to the municipal budget. Is it going to be enough to fill the gap? No, but I do think, again, the school committee budget was approved by the school committee. That's not the number that the City Council received. They received the mayor's number. And both budgets have cuts. So I think, honestly, I do think that they have to go back to the drawing board and
I just want to put out there too, as a human being, as nothing else but a human being, it is so unfortunate that this has unfolded this way, because I don't want any employee, school, city, anyone to ever feel constantly like their job is on the cutting board. I don't think that's a helpful place to work. I don't think it's a good morale to have. We said it last. I'm the daughter of two people who were teachers for over 35 plus years. You are married to a teacher. Your brother is a teacher. So
mother-in-law was a teacher, union rep.
I do think, and I truly believe that this will work itself out. I think there's probably.
I think the word empathy and integrity needs to be used on both sides of the fence.
Absolutely.
Because it's a little embarrassing seeing
and collaboration.
I think some things that are coming out of certain people's mouths or Facebook
but there
posting
are people in general
that I just think there should be some empathy, because if you really want this job, the elections, the papers are all being pulled right now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, though, I do think there are some people in general throughout the community that use a situation like this to kind of carry themselves, to make themselves look good and
I work in corporate America.
I
work in corporate America. We go through layoffs at tough times, and it's never fun. It's never fun to give pink slips. It's never fun to go through this whole process.
No, but when you're talking about involving students and residents, to me that's a little, that goes back to your empathy statement, right?
But companies have a mission statement too. Companies are providing services, or pharmaceuticals are providing drugs, or entertainment companies are providing
Still
entertainment.
a little different to me,
No,
but
there's still people on the end of that slip
No,
that
I
are
agree
going
with-
home
I agree with that. It's
unemployed
never
and
easy.
filing unemployment. And that's another thing that the city council did approve the other day. We approved $900,000
for the unemployment.
no, that was $500,000 for unemployment. So it was $500,000 for unemployment, and then $900,000 for all accrued expenses for the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
So, we could talk about this all segment, but
I'm sure we'll
I
talk
think-
about it again in a later show.
Over the next month, this budget's not going to. I don't think this budget's going to get passed personally, from historical experience. I think this will be a 112 budget going into July, and I just hope that we can come to some sort of arrangement and agreement before the end of the summer.
Ultimately, we have to, right?
I
And
do.
that goes back to
I do,
your your original comment of empathy and integrity
Yes.
and just collaboration, working together.
Yes.
But I will say there were also a lot of comments directed at the leadership of the city, be it school committee, council, mayor, what have you. So that brings us to it is election time.
Yes.
If anybody watching this is happy, unhappy, feels like they could do something, feels like they want to get involved, now is the time to pull those papers and put your name in the race, because it's not an easy job. It's not. It's sometimes thankless, but there are a lot of times when it's very rewarding, I will say. I feel so truly vested in the city that I do feel like it's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
If you join me in that thought, then I would consider pulling papers. The first date to pull the papers for any of the current offices was May 28th. But you have until, which is past now, I'm not sure when this will air, but they have until Friday, July 25th.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the process once you pull the papers, just so people know?
So the process right now is if you pull papers, any at-large positions, there's 3 on the city council.
We are 2 of them now.
2 of them right now, and then 6 on the school committee. And then you have the trustees positions, the Greater Lawrence Tech positions, and the Housing Authority. All need 150 signatures total, 50 per district. I think the charter may change that, so that's another comment that we probably will bring up in one of the segments, is the charter changes that are ongoing right now, and maybe we'll have the Steve Saba, who's the charter committee chair, come in and talk about that. But once you have those 150 signatures, and for district races, which are east, west, and central for councils, you only need 50 for that district. But for the 150 at-large signatures, you need 50 per district. I recommend, if you do pull papers, to fill a sheet, pass it in. Fill a sheet, pass it in,
and
so you
certify them.
understand what numbers are certified and what numbers you need to continue to get. But here's the thing, is the one thing I'll say, and I don't want to get on a soapbox about this, is serving as a public leader has been one of the best things I've done since.
And he doesn't want to get on a soapbox.
I know, but what I'm getting at is,
I'll get his box.
You need to have patience, and you really shouldn't be just standing up at a platform
of patience.
and trying to scare or put hysteria out there because of the platform you want to present. This is a collaborational role. You may like or dislike many of the people that you sit next to, have complete different opinions or beliefs, but there is decorum. There is
Get rid of all delusions of grandeur, because believe me,
if you think it's easy,
it's tough.
It's tough. And if you think you can solve the problems, it's not going to be solved in a year.
Yeah.
It's not. So,
or 2.
And if you have 2 or 3 different mayors in between, which, by the way, I've served now with 4 different mayors in my 10 years here in Methuen's election process, everyone has a different agenda. So, I say, if you're willing to run and put yourself out there, block out the noise. Thank you for public service. Thank you for doing it. But again,
figure
do
out
it
what's
with
most
empathy.
important to you, right? And just get that message out, because chances are, if something is important to you, it's probably important to a lot of other residents as well. And it might not be who's in that current position, it might not be their top priority, which there's nothing wrong with that. They just, everybody has certain agenda items that are just really, really passionate for them. If you do pull out the papers, Friday, July 25th, you have until 5 p.m. You can return them by July 29th. Nick suggested that you hand them in. Not only is that good to know where you stand so that you know what you're lacking, but it's also great for the clerk, because to get all of the sheets all at the end is just, it's draining, and it's silly really to try to do it that way. So I know I do it the way that you say. The primary, if there's a contested race, will be held on September 16th. And the general election would be November 4th this year. So even if you're not thinking about pulling papers, keep it in your head, because that's the time to vote. And you can't complain about anything anyone's doing if you don't get out there and vote.
Agreed. I do. I think it'll be an interesting election season. I think the budget will determine a lot of factors too here. And, I wouldn't say don't expect the unexpected, but being here for 10 years in this role,
there's always something.
There's always something. Last minute money coming from the state, or someone found $1 million somewhere. But with that said, we're going to take a quick break, come back, change this all up. And
be a little fun.
We're going to have a little fun. We're going to talk a little bit about some fun activities around the corner for the summer for your kiddos or your grandkids.
The brew, Nick.
The brew, and some Father Day ideas. So we'll be right back after this note.
Thanks for watching The Buzz. If you want
Nick
and Jana to know what all the buzz is about, feel free to send your questions and comments to
thebuzzmethuen@gmail.com.
Welcome back. So now it's time. This hopefully is a little more fun. We've got the brew segment. And all joking aside, sometimes our show, I think, has to be a little serious, because some of the stuff that is going on in the city is serious. But that's not what the brew is about. Yay. The brew is about fun stuff. What do we have brewing currently? Keeping in mind that, you might be watching this, it has already passed, but where we are right now, tomorrow is Methuen High graduation.
Yes.
Some other graduations have already happened.
June
Congratulations
6th.
To all the graduates.
Today is June 5th that we're filming this, and GLTS will graduate today, and then Methuen High will graduate tomorrow. And, I do want to say, GLTS, there's a student from Lawrence that goes to GLTS.
Yes.
Angelo Sadade is his name. 13 years, never missed a day of school.
Or tardy, right?
Or tardy. I'm pretty sure when I got my car to high school, I took the long way to high school and enjoyed.
I believe that. I do believe that. I'm surprised you even showed up.
2007 Kia Sedona.
Better than I thought it was going to be.
It was a Caravan, my first car driving to school.
I'm not even sure how to react to that
Senior
one.
year.
But
Hey, good times.
No, but the graduates, congratulations, and it is fun
Graduation,
time.
I hope the weather is great for all of you. And then just remember this. If there's one piece of advice that I could give to anyone, don't comment. It is...
Oh, don't take it.
Is you got to make time for the things that take time. And remember that, especially when you go to school, if you have no idea what you want to do right now in your major,
that's okay.
That's fine. That is fine. And to be honest with you, you may end up going through this path that is college or military or taking your trade right off the back. But just remember, it's not defining you today. It's going to define your future.
And sometimes what you think you're going to do, you might start on one path and you might end up doing something else, and it's okay. But I was thinking too about...
I would be sitting next to you, 20 years later after, talking
Who
to you
knew I would have taken a different path, but,
There's a lot of paths I would have taken.
Let me hear. And it's funny, you talk about graduation parties, summer, graduation gifts. I saw something on Facebook the other day, and as luck would have it, of course, nobody I know is graduating this year. They were last year, but I couldn't have done this. It was very cool. You can take not dollar bills, but a 5 or 100 or a 20 or 50, whatever denomination you want to use, and you can roll them up so that the 2, the 0, the 2, and the 5 all show in little rolls and put them in a card. I said, oh my gosh, that's so great. My son is 2027, so I'm just out of luck.
Olivia is 2038, and we've done.
I haven't figured out the other. You can tell she's your first child because I don't even know what my second and third are. I don't even know what year they would graduate. I'm just going day by day with them.
When did you graduate high school?
Oh my gosh! And that's cut. No, I'm just so moving on. Father's Day is coming.
Yes.
You know, you're a dad.
Yes, and you have a husband.
I have a dad too.
You do have a dad too. Here's the thing: is like, you know, it was funny the other day. My wife goes, you know, can you help out and show a little appreciation? I go, don't you have one day a year that we do this?
Oh my God! And the mothers actually have to. Mother's Day is the worst because if we don't actually plan the whole thing,
oh come on! I do
happen.
a really good Mother's Day planning.
Well, talk to Vinny, talk to my husband because you know.
But you know, here's the thing: for a father, it's like, do I be selfish and say, hey, I just want to go golfing, or
no,
you know,
because you get all the other days with the mother, the wife doing everything. but to be fair, honestly, all joking aside, for both of those, it really should be about the kids.
It is.
It is so sweet, and we talk, you know, Father's Day gifts. Some of the best gifts I've ever received are the homemade gifts from my children that. Not where they, you know, they have beautiful gifts sometimes they make with a teacher in school or, you know, whatever, but, or, you know, grandparents might help them or whatever, but when they actually do it themselves and they take that initiative, I mean, you just feel so loved.
When you say home crafts, that means there's paint all over the hardwood floor.
But that's okay.
There's a scratch or coloring dent on the tables.
That's life.
I know,
That's
right.
life. And it's so funny. Whenever you walk in, especially like around our age, you know, I always feel like an excuse when someone walks into the house. It's always like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's a mess. Like, so-and-so just did this. And I always think, though, listen, from one mom to another, that's life. And I love a lived-in home because the alternative means your children are grown up or, you know, they're not there.
That's the thing, is like Olivia.
That's a sad truth to admit.
Olivia the other day goes, Daddy, I would go, Olivia, why did you come out here? And she goes, oh, Daddy, I just want to follow you. And I was like, well, go back inside. She's like, no, I just want to be with you. And it's like things like that.
She is your shadow. And by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen Nick's daughter,
Poor
it
kid.
is like she's still beautiful, thank God. But she literally, it looks like someone shrunk, put like fairy dust, whatever, on that Beetlejuice dust on Nick and just put him in this a much more adorable version of himself and just walks around alongside of him. The next little thing we're going to talk about are like summer vacations and stuff. But before we get there, I have a Father's Day gift for you that I thought was appropriate.
Oh no, I did not know this.
And it transitions. No, that's why I needed my bag here. He tried to move it, and I wouldn't have had it. But I have to peel off the made in China wrapping before Amazon special.
I work so we can go to Disney. Yeah.
See?
Yep.
It's a truth.
There you go.
It's a truth,
oh,
right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. See? So one Father's Day gift.
Thank
you can just come over whenever with my Mother's Day gift that you never gave me.
I will.
That's fine.
But you know what's funny is like you got Amazon now.
That's Amazon.
Is it? Yeah.
That's Amazon.
So Amazon's got some really cool deals, and I was just surfing through it the other day, and I go, they have like this torch that like is it looks like a big lighter. And it skewers like sushi, and it skewers like meat.
So I have a little propane torch because I'll use it for like.
No, this isn't propane. This is like just like it looks like
a torch.
It's a torch.
Like what's it hook up to?
It has like its own like liquid.
Propane.
No, it has its own liquid in it.
Propane?
It's not propane liquid. What's the liquid that are lighters?
Oh, not propane. Butane.
Yes.
That's what I meant actually. I have a butane one and we use it because we actually have a pizza oven.
Yeah.
So I use it. Well, the first time we did the pizza oven during COVID, I tried with matches. Note to everybody out there: don't try to light a pizza oven with matches. It's just a really long process.
Her eyelashes had to grow back.
I got this little, it wouldn't even start.
Oh,
it was like 45 minutes, with me and my friend blowing on the little spark like we were out in the wilderness. It was tough. But now butane. So we have the little, and I'll use it for the pizza oven.
But here's the thing is, when you talk about Mother's Day and Father's Day gifts, do you think something like this or something creative from kids is what you want?
Yes, it doesn't matter what it is.
Well, I don't care either.
Or like time
but what
off.
I'm going to say, would you prefer to get your husband an experience or something that he could put in his office?
Not to get my husband anything because I do stuff for him all year round. But listen, I think it goes case by case.
Yeah.
For me as a mom, and I can only speak to what I like on Mother's Day, you know, as much as it would be sweet for them to say, hey mom, go to a spa all day, I want to be with my kids.
Yeah.
There's no Mother's Day that I would feel complete if it weren't with the children.
Yeah.
So
you could do any of those other things.
Hopefully fathers feel the same way. I'm just not sure.
I mean, every Father's Day since Olivia, we've gone to Canopy and we spent the day at Canopy and
Canopy's
stuff like
open.
that.
Canopy's open starting.
Unless it's raining or it doesn't rain.
But
and it's a
Tuesdays
Saturday,
they're open, you said.
They are.
They used to be closed.
We'll talk about
Tuesdays.
that in a second. But you know, there's so many Amazon gifts right now out there, and a lot of deals out there for Father's Day for experiences like, you know, golfing or tickets to a game right now. I mean, the Red Sox are practically giving tickets away for like $5, $10.
And food for thought throughout the year too. What I do sometimes, like especially you said golf, like the Merrimack Valley Golf Club.
And I don't have to golf on Father's Day.
No,
it could be on
the certificate, sure.
Yeah.
But throughout the year, all the different events, like raffles, dollars for scholars, all different, like Festival of Trees, they always have those packages that you can bid on and get them and just save them, you know, as a gift, and you can use them. Yeah. You can use them wherever. Amazon literally has everything. My daughter plays softball for Methuen, and a couple days ago last night they had their first playoff, which ended up being their last playoff. But that's neither here nor there. But I went on Amazon and I literally typed in, you know, softball team gifts. And the next day, I had these adorable little pockets with a softball keychain, a softball scrunchie, a softball squishy toy. I mean, it's like one day.
Hey.
Oh, a bracelet came in it. It was cute. It was cute. So anything.
If you're
no
like
excuse.
Jana, who likes to do things last minute, even though she probably signed up for it 2 or 3 weeks ago, go on Amazon and type in what you need, and it'll be here tomorrow. You've heard that, right?
I prepare.
So Father's Day,
I'm just saying,
if you forgot to get your husband,
that's the difference
or the
between a
father of your
mom and a
children,
dad. If you're juggling a lot of things and you are forced to go on Amazon last minute because your father didn't, your husband didn't think of it, then there you go. So, but Summer, as these things all wind down.
Last Minute J. That's my nickname for her. Last Minute J.
I'll pretend he didn't say that, because last minute, I'm going to do something else. Anyway, but Summer, when all these things are winding down.
And we're talking about kids too now.
What type of kids?
Well, that's the thing, is everything's, school's coming out, graduation's happening.
Oh, everything.
Spending time with your kids. You know, you think about.
And summer, right? What's the first thing you think of, though? How do I keep these kids busy, right?
Yes.
And it's, so I've always said to my kids, and I know a lot of parents would disagree.
Or your spouse that's a teacher, too.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of the time off.
Yeah.
You know, and your kids having the time off, too. So, you know, a lot of people saying, you know, you had to interject, and then I forget what I was going to say.
That's all right.
Always.
She'll shoot me in a
summer.
second. You know, I think about, you know, some of the fun activities that are going around with them.
That wasn't what I was going to say, though.
No?
I had a thought. But I'm juggling so much that I won't think about it till after.
She's a mother, everyone.
It's a
she
lot.
is juggling so much,
It's
and
a
her
lot.
husband
3 kids.
apparently doesn't appreciate it.
He appreciates it.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell him you said that.
He could hear it. He could listen to it.
That's 2 people then that will watch, my mother and my husband. Great. That works.
So I think, you know, with graduations, parents taking time off, kids out of school.
Yeah. Oh, so that's what I was going to say. Thank you. He just jogged my memory. I was going to say a lot of parents might disagree with me because they limit their children's screen time.
Oh, no, Lindsay won't disagree.
So in the summer, I do not limit my children's screen time. That was a deal.
Disagree with you.
So that was a deal we had. So what does this mean for me as a parent because I don't limit it? It means that I spend every single day trying to think of fun and innovative ways to keep my children off of the iPads. So they're not actually on it, but I'm not physically limiting it because my trade-off is that they abide by my rules during when they're in school. Okay?
You also have older kids.
Well,
too.
I mean, Aria's 9.
Yeah, but that's.
I wouldn't say it's
I mean,
older.
in today's day and age, they're teaching kids how to use iPads and Google Chromebooks.
Oh yeah, they're definitely more proficient than I am. But so you know, we do like there's some free stuff too, but I sign them up. They have the family bowl passes.
Yeah.
So when it's raining, the kids get to bowl for free at local bowling alleys.
Is this through the museum?
No, it's not through the museum. You just go right online. And I think it's called like the Family Bowling Pass. We do it through Academy Lanes because that's the closest one.
That's in Haverhill, right?
That's in Haverhill. And it's not too far from me.
I know the library does a really good job
tons.
during the summer keeping kids involved at the library. There's a lot of events, a lot of reading and learning that happens there, but also they give discounted passes to the Museum of Science, the Children's Museum, the aquarium. So if any of your children are interested in anything science or aquatica kind of things, I would say take advantage of a day. But also look at the deals at these places. They are giving away family packages. I know Stone Zoo does a really good job with a family.
Yeah, you can do we did that one summer when the kids were little.
And sometimes one day admission covers the whole year season pass.
Canopy Lake, I know I have it for my family, you have it for yours, the season pass, and the cost breakdown as long as you go a few times.
Just the one critique I'll give about Canopy this year is that I've been a season pass holder for 4 years to Canopy.
I have
Great thing for families. Honestly,
it's almost doubled in that 4 years, by the way.
But we take our daughter to the water park during the week, or we take them to just go get an ice cream on a Friday to watch the fireworks. If you have the means of doing a season pass, but if you're taking a family of 4 twice a year, it pays itself overnight, and it also includes the Scream Fest. And
it includes some days. They usually do bring a friend days, which you can bring the same number of passes you hold. So like my family of 5, we can actually bring 5 guests.
Yes.
As long as you accompany them.
What I do not like is Canopy is a regional theme park. It is not a national theme park, and yet they are going to the pay by day.
Right, fluctuating
prices and fluctuating attendance. So what some national theme parks are doing is if you know that you want to go this Friday, June 6th, if 15 to 20 people have clicked on that date, it will fluctuate the price of the ticket, and it'll also start fluctuating the attendance allowance that goes into that park. And so they're not selling tickets anymore at Canopy Lake.
In person. Physical tickets.
You have to, when you show up to the park, and if you think you're just going to walk into the park and buy a ticket, they make you scan a QR code and you go buy them online, which then you have to pay the convenience fee, by the way. And then
I don't know how convenient that is.
I know, so convenient.
Since you went there,
and then you can pick them up at the box office to exchange them at the gate. Makes no sense for a regional theme park.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me as a regional theme park. Six Flags doesn't even do it that way.
No, but we are lucky that we have it that close by. You know what else I got? I got the Chuck E. Cheese Summer Fun Pass. We have one. There's one right in the Loop.
Yeah.
My kids have been going. But again, if it's raining, my kids actually love the pizza there.
See, I think launch would be something similar.
So you get, launch. Launch might have some deals too. I haven't looked into it, but we do that periodically through the summer. But Chuck E. Cheese is good. You get like half off of the food, and every day my kids go in there, they can get 250 games to play. I mean, it's almost too many to even try to do in a day. But it's good to kind of have these options because, again, every day I'll say to the kids, well, what do you want to do today? And we have these built-in options that they can pick that gets them out of the house, maybe doing something outside if it's nice or inside if it's raining, but it keeps them busy.
I also love that Methuen has Forest Lake.
That's definitely a little hidden jewel.
I love Forest Lake. I love taking Olivia over there, and it's if it's open, most of the summer it's open. And they test
unless there's a problem with the water. I think we had that last summer, right?
But it's a great place for families, especially kids that are trying to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Have the opportunity to go to Forest Lake is a great opportunity.
That's where I learned to swim, actually.
Yeah.
I think there was an instructor there or something back.
But there are
not too long ago because I'm
really
young.
Great areas in Methuen and or the Merrimack Valley that kids and you can get things done this summer. And then if you are planning on any trips, and I think we discussed that last time, the vacation plan, this is the summertime. A lot of places are off season right now because not New England.
They're not traveling as much.
Not New England, but
the warmer places.
The warmer places, the islands and Florida. So look at those deals. But also, you know, I hear a lot of great things coming out of the Cape this year, a lot of summer theater programs. If you could do a day trip down to Buzzards Bay, it's really very close by.
Even take a trip to New York or take a trip to Canada. You know, sometimes we don't take advantage of the places. And it's funny, my husband and I just recently decided, because we've taken our children, and we love to travel. Anybody who knows me knows that we travel quite a bit.
Yeah.
We really love it. But, you know, we don't travel as much within the United States.
Yeah.
Like, we'll go to Disney or we'll go to New York. But, you know, my husband came out with it the other day, and he was just like, we should just book, like, trips to, you know, Kentucky. Or like just somewhere, Missouri, right? Yeah. Just somewhere. He actually said Montana because we were watching Yellowstone. So,
but you know what's actually funny is a Father's Day gift that you kind of bring up, like Kentucky, bourbon, whiskey. I'm a huge whiskey fan.
Okay, Lindsay. There you go. Because I don't think Olivia can walk in and buy a bottle of bourbon for you. So I don't think it's actually coming from his children.
When you say Kentucky, when you think of Kentucky,
maybe in Kentucky they can do that.
But you know, actually, I do have some family friends that are jumping in a big, you know, like limo
with
SUV.
Bourbon.
No,
with bourbon.
Not bourbon. Let me rephrase that. That are jumping in the car and going to Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're hanging out on the New
Yes.
York side and then going across the border.
So I think that's such a neat thing. Like my kids, your kids are still a little bit little,
I need them
but
to
like
walk.
my kids are kind of that age where I think they can appreciate it. It's a lot easier to travel to destinations where you might do a little more older sightseeing and less fun activities.
Like I don't think Olivia would like Williamsburg. Like I loved Williamsburg.
So I went there as a child. That's so funny. That's like one of the vacations that I remember. I feel like when I was younger, all my vacations were more educational. No, if I remember it, it probably wasn't when I was 4, but yeah.
But I look at, you know, Aiden's, of course, you know, my son is only 9 months old at this point. But, you know, I look at, when we get a little bit older, it'd be great to, you know, ditch the car seats, ditch the carriages, and just be able to walk. It's funny, my husband and I took a trip alone, and we rarely do that, just to Florida for a couple days last month. You left your kids?
Yes, and I never do that. If anybody knows me, I'm always the first one. Nope, my kids aren't going, I'm not going.
How many times did you FaceTime them with that screen time that you
I actually had the phone. I had to put my daughter to sleep, so I had the phone next to me, lying down.
I did not know that at all, but I called it.
Yeah.
I called it.
But it was funny because as it was one of the first times we were traveling without the kids, even though they're older, you're still watching them, right?
Yeah.
Get this one, go through. My husband and I went through so quickly. I looked at him and I said, what was that? It was so easy to travel. It was like sad.
You know, actually, something that else is coming up is a lot of travel restrictions right now in certain places. So, you know, I'm global access, global entry, TSA, clear. I have clear too. You know, when I've realized when I'm traveling with children, it doesn't matter how long you wait in the line, it's going to still be very, very much the same wait time. I've realized.
Really?
Oh yeah, because the
Why
carriage,
do you say that?
when I put the carriage
so I don't have the carriage, so maybe that's why. I don't have the carriage.
And all that, so, you know,
my kids
certain
are
carriages can't go through
No, you have to wait to go into the big and then they swipe it down.
Yeah, and there's a lot of travel restrictions on like formula, like powder, things like that.
That part I don't mind, actually. I don't miss that part at all with the store. Although when I'm in Disney, I do miss it. You know why? There's nothing to hang my bags on and all my stuff. It's so nice, that extra basket underneath.
So I was very lucky to go down to Orlando last week.
Yeah, I'm going next week.
Yeah, so I went to the grand opening of Epic Universe.
Yes, we saw pictures on Facebook. I did.
Yeah, and
you probably just scrolled by.
And so
I should have.
It was really interesting to see a new park open up in that area, and it is completely innovative. The minute you walk in that park, it's immersive. And that's the kind of thing that I think a lot of kids are starting to be more attuned to in today's society, is the immersiveness of different things. Like theme parks are taking you into new places. Museums are taking you to Mars.
Everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because
it's the immersive piece.
I was telling my kids, Disney World, when I went as a child, I remember walking through a path and you saw Mickey Mouse's house.
Yeah.
And Donald Duck's house, and there it is, and then next to that.
But now these parks and these
you're in a different world.
And different immersive. Like I went to the Museum of Science a few weeks ago, and this is why I say, parents, you got to check out the Museum of Science.
Yeah.
Olivia walked on Mars.
Yeah.
Like there's a picture of her walking on Mars and playing with rocks. And you know, there's a lot of these places now that the immersiveness, like
did you take her to
escape rooms.
Did you take her to eat at Space 220?
Yes. Yeah.
Did she like it?
Yeah, well, she was 9 months at that point.
So she loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. But then I realized, you know what? This isn't a place that you take kids.
Why?
Because it's, one, very expensive. But two, it's like,
I mean, no more expensive than everywhere else.
No,
there,
but you know, but like I would rather take her to a character breakfast right now. Or,
oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Instead of like me, like so they just opened up the GO28 or something like that. It's a new bourbon bar at Epcot.
Back to bourbon.
And I know we talk Disney too much on the show.
I hope Lindsay's taking notes.
But what I'm getting at is a lot of these parks are now introducing alcohol.
Which I don't know is the best recipe for a children's park.
There's probably many conversations at how like there's an increase of police presence in some of these places.
Sure.
And like if you go to a big mall complex or even the Museum of Science or any of these big locations now, they're trying to get the parents and younger adults to stay longer so that their kids are just running around.
Although I will say, again, going back to my childhood,
just so that
versus,
alcohol is there.
but versus my children's childhood, I never, but not for, you know, my mother with friends over at the house, I can never remember my parents having a drink in front of me or whatever, you know, with the exception of like wine at a meal or something like that.
Yeah, it's a different time.
No, it is a different time, and you're right, because it's very common to go to a children's birthday party and there's alcohol for the adults or whatever, you know?
You know what else is actually real, and I probably should have brought this up in the previous segment, was that, you know, everywhere we go, vaping is another thing.
Oh, we said we were going to mention that too.
And so, you know, I think of like, you know, I'm at the park and someone's in the line and or at the museum and they're
yeah.
trying to hide it. I mean,
and
I've seen it on planes
they're normalizing it too in front of our children,
yes.
which isn't a good thing.
So, you know, what's and we could probably end on this is like the civics, 7th grade civics class, Miss Gagnon.
Yeah, was it the Marsh?
Marsh.
Was it the Marsh School?
Did a city ordinance and a study.
A proposal for one, yeah.
Yep. For criminalizing people selling vapes to underage children.
So not only selling, that was the difference, my understanding, and
or
I
reselling.
Actually asked about that.
Reselling.
Not only reselling, but actually vaping in public was my understanding, right? The kids.
Oh, the
so
kids,
if you
yes,
see
yes,
a
yes,
minor,
yes, yes.
But right now, so that's what I had asked the officer who kind of worked collaborating with it. With this group of students, but they did such an amazing presentation, and
7th graders.
7th graders, but it was legit. It was really
they did a
good,
really
and
good
I would
job writing the ordinance.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is these students.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say kids. These students.
Yeah. They took the initiative,
recognizing these things because of what is becoming acceptable in today's society.
Sure.
So that's the thing is like if it's okay for mom and dad to have a drink at the theme park, maybe it's okay for me in the future to do it excessively.
Yep, but what these kids saw was the law is only designed right now to prohibit sales of vaping to minors. So they
not reselling, not vaping or handing it to students.
They broadened that so that now there could actually be fines and punishments if someone is vaping in public, or, you know, I think we put something in the schools like that, but we didn't have it for the generalized public. But we were so impressed by this presentation. They did such an amazing job, and I think it'll pass. I think it's something that the council. I know, you know, yeah, I do too. So.
I think it'll be on the next agenda, and you know, I say to all students too that, you know, things like this is what makes Methuen stand out, and that's the good and positive. I really wish that presentation happened.
Came at the beginning. I wish we had moved it. Yep.
Well, we did move it. They weren't there yet. They didn't come until a little after because I think they thought public participation was going to be as long as it was. But with that said, I think, you know, the summer is going to be a really nice one for the community. A lot of great things going on out there. To all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
To the graduates, happy graduation.
And for the next episode, we are going to hopefully have a few guests here. I'll bring it up. You know, we'll have hopefully the union president of the fire department to come and talk about some of the pressing issues with cancer screenings.
Yep, for our firefighters
For our
and
firefighters
officials. Yeah,
and officials. And then hopefully we'll have an update on the school budget and the city budget.
Hopefully we've made some progress with both.
And maybe we'll have someone from the school side actually as a guest too. So the next show we will definitely have some guests here.
And we'll bring some more fun too.
I think the second half, as you guys have seen, is a little bit more letting loose and talking about the things that
Except
you
when
are
he talks
probably-
like this, but sure. Go ahead, go.
You're right. I talked more than 30 seconds. All you. Go ahead. You go first. You go first.
Just smile a little bit.
I'm smiling.
You know what? I am going to find this bourbon. I may or may not put it into your cup next time.
You can't.
Sneak it into
This is
your
public
cup.
TV. You cannot do that.
Sneak it into
Oh,
his cup.
I'm getting the okay. I'm getting the no. Okay.
No, it's a no.
bad
I
idea.
would never, ever, ever do that.
Oh, this is strong
Ever.
coffee.
He's going to do
Strong
that and try
coffee.
to get me in trouble. No, but no, that was a good point. I agree. We have serious issues. They're going to be in the beginning. Hopefully
Yeah.
a little bit lighter at the end.
Thank you for the Father's Day gift.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keep
Amazon,
working so you can keep going
Last
to
Minute J, everyone. Come to
Disney.
Last Minute J.
Yeah, you can get this
and,
fine thing if your husband likes to go to Disney. You're done, and it came in like a day.
You know, one last thing. I love the YouTube videos or the little Snapchat, Instagram videos of like people like, I'm spending my life savings on this.
Like the little reels?
Yeah, the reels, but I'll do Disney, or I'll do this for my wife, but not my husband. Yeah, things like that. But all right, everyone, thank you very much. I'm Nick DiZoglio.
I'm Jana Zani-Pesh.
And this is The Buzz. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.